Stories that are untold, underreported, and all-out inspirational. Carey Pena reports.
Hey guys, I'm Carey Pena. Thank you so much for listening to Carey Pena Reports on iTunes and Stitcher, and for watching our shows on Facebook and YouTube at Inspired Media 360. Be sure to find us online at inspiredmedia360.com, and you can follow along with me behind the scenes on Instagram at Carey Pena. So on this show, we like to focus on people who have highly inspirational stories to share. In studio today, a woman who I've been trying to connect with for some time, Bella. Now, finally, we're able to meet. Thank you for being in studio today. Author and coach, Bella Vasta. Great to have you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
It only took us 6 months to make it all happen?
It was a very long time, yes. But, everything happens for a reason, right?
But you have one of those stories that when I heard about your story, I put you on my radar, and I was determined to make sure that we had you on the show because you do have an incredibly inspirational story. You built a 6-figure business. We're going to talk about how you made that happen, and now how you're expanding on your dreams of inspiring the masses. You're making it all happen, and all of this despite some very serious personal obstacles and one might say some life crisis that happened to you. Let's talk about your business. It's called Bella's House and Pet Sitting. Right?
It was
right. Like when you
Yes.
built it up, how did you think about building up a pet sitting business?
Right. Because most of the time when people start businesses, they're intentional about it, right? I, on the other hand, had just moved up from U of A to go to ASU. Yay. And my parents wanted to give me a curfew. I didn't really like that. And when I had an opportunity to sleep overnight with 2 white dogs, because that's what they were to me at the time, and get paid for it, it was just the best thing ever. I had no curfew. I could do what I wanted in college. So when I graduated, it just really started snowballing. My parents told me I needed to get a, quote, real job. I did. I worked at a very big corporation and quit within 2 weeks because I just couldn't handle it. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to build my own thing.
Why couldn't you handle it? It just wasn't your...
So their training, they wanted me to literally read a chapter and meditate on it all day. Mm. And then I went so far ahead, I was fast about it. And I was like, all right, give me more. Like, I'm like a freight train, right? Come on, challenge me. And then my big prize was to scan documents in, because at the time they were going paperless. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm getting up, getting dressed, go sit in an office and scan documents when I could be in charge of this myself. No, I have a family emergency. I gotta go home. And I never came back.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. For real. Okay. That's how it went down. So I started building this company. I actually worked at Starbucks part-time because that was where I could get health benefits, right? Mm-hmm. And I just started growing it. And then I got an opportunity to go to an all-expenses-paid trip to Jamaica.
Oh, cool.
I was just telling you a little bit about it, actually. And when that happened, I had nobody working for me, and it was July. In July, everyone leaves, so pet sitting is really busy. Mm-hmm. And I said, I need someone to help me. I need employees. So I jumped into it, probably a little too fast, but hey, you jump and figure it out later, right? And I had employees, and it just kind of started building. Mm-hmm. A couple years later, I applied for some national awards in our industry, and I got them, mm-hmm. unbeknownst to me. I was completely shocked, and people started asking me, how do I do what you do? And that's how the coaching started.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So everything has been very organic in my life, and I've just been open to it. And I'm kind of a big believer in you got to walk through all the doors, and then you can decide if you want to walk back out that door.
You weren't inhibited by fear.
Oh, I had fear, but it had a room in my house that was not my living room or my bedroom. It was like
the closet?
Totally.
Or the powder room?
Yes.
The small powder room?
Yes.
Down the hall. So we're talking today about how your business can survive a personal catastrophe. Mm-hmm. And you really have walked through some difficult and dark times. You put a really beautiful front on, and you present yourself so well, and you're successful. Congratulations on all of your success, by the way.
Thank you.
But I want to talk about what happened to you in your life and how you continued to not only survive but thrive. Because that's really important to me. Those stories, we need to share more of those stories. Uh-huh. A lot of people go through it, varying degrees of something. you met your husband on Match.com.
I did.
In 2012. And you wrote that to me, so I'm not spilling any secrets.
No, not at all.
You met him on Match.com, and in a couple of years later, you had your little baby, Olivia. Tell me about Olivia.
So I met Alex on Match, and I always joke that my business kept me warm through my 20s because I got married pretty late. It was 32. And we honeymooned in Rome and came home from our honeymoon and found out that we were pregnant. And we were so excited because, Carey, we have this whole stigma in our society, don't have sex too early. You're going to get pregnant. And when you get pregnant, you're going to have a beautiful baby and everything's going to be great. And you're going to get these beautiful pregnancy pictures and all this stuff. And it came crashing down. It was in the end of January, found out I was pregnant. By Memorial Day, I was in the hospital. I'd never stayed at the hospital ever before in my entire life. And the group of doctors that was on my case or helping me at the time, they all told me something different. One told me, your baby's not growing. And that you're going to have a stillbirth. I didn't know what that was. I had to look it up. That's how innocent I was. I'd never really experienced any of this. I had another doctor tell me to go float in a pool and that'll get my amniotic fluid up and have my baby grow. It was the most bizarre thing I'd ever heard of. I don't even remember what the last one was, but that was the start of realizing this wasn't going to happen. And so we fired them and we found a doctor who would believe in us because I had to look these doctors in the eye every single day, even when I did not believe it, and say, this baby's going to live. I understand what you're saying, but it's hear me, look at me, my baby is going to survive. And I really was the ignorance of knowing what was on the other side of that played to our advantage. There are many, many times where people would politely suggest that we aborted without using those words. They would say that our whole entire life would change and we'd be chained to our house and we'd have no life, and just really trying to scare us out of it. And everyone had a theory. It was then when I realized that medicine really is a practice. You practice it, it's an art, everyone does it differently, and there's so much that we don't know. And that's truly when I'm a Christian, and I never felt so close to God in my life because I had nothing else that I could hold on to. It was the most beautiful and scary time ever. The doctor, I'll never forget, he was she's pink, she's kicking, and she came out kicking. She's the smallest baby the hospital's ever had, smallest baby in Arizona. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. How small
was she? Describe for podcast listeners.
So she was 12 ounces, which is the size of a soda can, the weight of it. She was 1 inch shorter than a Barbie doll. She was 10 inches. I couldn't hold her for 3 weeks.
What did that feel like?
It was horrible. Again, going back to, you don't realize it at the time, but your dreams are crashing down. These fantasies are crashing down where, mama has a baby and you get to just hold her and breastfeed and do
put her in a pink frilly outfit
and go home in 3 days. And I got told, your baby's alive, but we're in a honeymoon phase. Don't get too attached.
Your baby, thankfully, survived.
Absolutely.
And you took her home, but you did suffer. You also took home a great deal of trauma.
Oh yeah.
And it caused you, and I want to set the stage by saying that, I only like to interview people about things they're willing to talk about. So these are things that you said you were willing to share. But
absolutely.
You had a very dark phase and you were extremely depressed.
Yeah.
You gained a lot of weight.
Yeah.
You said that you were suffering from what you believe, or I don't know, was diagnosed as PTSD.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. Yeah. I feel so passionately talking about this, and I'm grateful to be here today talking with you. And I hope that someone listening today hears this and says this is what I went through, or I'm not alone, and I think something else that's really important is that it's not just the person that goes through it, it's also the people around them. So my husband, my parents, I described it at points, Carey, I felt like a bomb went off inside of me and the shrapnel killed the people around me.
How long did that darkness last?
It lasted until I made a decision. I decided in January 2017, something just, our anniversary was January 4th, and we were going up to Sedona. I didn't even want to get out of bed to go to Sedona, let alone have a romantic weekend with my husband to celebrate our anniversary, right? And I was like, enough is enough. This isn't who I am. I literally was saying like Bella lost her groove. Now, I do a lot of work online, so it was really easy to put up that facade because nobody knows what speed my fingers are typing, right?
Right.
And I could, put that beautiful selfie up there, but people don't know that I'm really like crying in bed underneath the covers, don't want to get out. And I had to make a decision. I made a decision because that's who I am. That's who I am. I had to remind myself that's who I am. But not only did I make a decision, but I held myself accountable by starting to talk about it.
One of the things that I thought was really interesting about your story is that now you're putting yourself out there on the national stage on multiple fronts because you're a smart business person. You built up that pet sitting and house sitting business and sold it for 6 figures.
Yep.
And you didn't let personal tragedy sideline you. So one of the things you talk to people about is how your business can survive personal catastrophe. Mm-hmm. What do you say?
So I really truly believe if you're going to have a successful business, you're going to have it for 3, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 years. And at some point, something, God forbid, but it's true, going to happen to you or someone you love. And you're going to want to step aside and take that time. And luckily, I was able to do that and still get a paycheck and still have my business running. My business didn't just come crashing down. So I just really want to help encourage business owners to think about what am I going to do when that happens? And is my business strong enough to run without me in it? It's a thing that I think a lot of business owners, we all start businesses because we want that fantasy. We want to have our paycheck and we want to do what we want when we want and be boss mom and all this other stuff. But somehow or another, our business ends up eating us alive. We end up on the bottom of it. We end up stressed out, burnt out, resenting it. Our families resent us for it and our business, And it's all about so many things, but balance in the end and taking care of yourself first and being a leader over your own life, your family life, and then your business life. And I want to tell you, there was something I'm a big proponent of. Have you ever heard of EMDR?
Yes. One of the gals who we interviewed, in fact, she was a Boston Marathon bombing survivor who suffered PTSD.
I'm from Boston, and we also have mutual friends there too.
And so she told me that she did that therapy.
Yes, it is, Carey. If any of you guys, I hope this is okay if I say this, but if anyone missed out on that episode, go back and listen to it.
Thank you.
If anyone has ever gone through any kind of trauma, this is something you need to look up. It took 3 years before anyone ever told me about this. And the success rate on it is something like 80%. It's incredible.
What's the acronym stand for?
Eye movement desensitization reframing, I think, EMDR. And there's a protocol that only some therapists are actually trained in it. And it's basically tapping into your left and your right brain. And you take out this trauma and you reprocess it with the therapist. And then you put it back in. Because when you're going through things like this, you are just trying to survive. So everything's going in without a filter. So we need to filter that and put it back in. That's what got rid of. And after I started working out and feeling good about myself, like I wanted to start helping myself, I started that EMDR. And that's what got rid of those nightmares. That's what allows me to go into the Scottsdale Shea, or Honor Health it's called now, and have happy moments there and not have an emotional hangover. If you've ever had an emotional hangover because of a trauma, the chances are high that you have PTSD. And it's okay to get help because your life will change. You don't forget about it. It just has a place in your life. And that's also empowered me so much to be able to get up on stage and stand in my truth. And it doesn't mean that I don't get choked up. I got choked up a little bit with you here, but it doesn't ruin me, right? I'm able to stand in that power and talk about it and keep helping other people. So,
and how do you feel today?
Amazing. I feel like I really truly feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And Olivia has taught me that I don't know where I'm going.
But I sure know where I've been.
Exactly. Like, that's the thing. It's so true. And I'm okay not necessarily knowing exactly where it looks like in a year, but I know that the seeds God's planted in me and the stuff that I've gone through, I am able to package that up and help inspire other people as I keep helping them with their business, as I keep showing them that it's not just all, I love Gary Vee, but it's not all hustle, right? There's a person behind the business, and we need to address the person and their mental health and their mental being and their leadership over their life before we try to start being a leader in our relationships, in our families, and in our business.
And you said that you always sign off your emails by saying, always keep jumping. I asked you your favorite quote, and you wrote, I sign everything this way.
Yes.
Starting or expanding a business is like jumping out of an airplane. You want to land on target. You need to know when to pull the chute. You need someone with you. When life gets tough, if you always keep jumping, the blood will keep flowing. You won't get stuck in the muck. Momentum will keep flowing. Always keep jumping means that you keep going even when you don't want to.
Yeah, that's how I sign all my emails. It's my coaching company is called Jump Consulting, because that's, you got to jump out of the airplane. You got to, and you need help. You can't do it by yourself, but always keep jumping even when you don't feel like it.
Just in closing, I wonder how it feels to have gained perspective through seeing tragedy like that, because it does change who you are as a person.
100%.
You met moms who weren't able to take their babies home. And so it does give you a greater appreciation for life and the ability to keep jumping.
It does. And it, appreciation for life. Like I'll never get upset that Olivia wakes me up at 5:15 in the morning because I have a daughter. It gives you so much more perspective, and it makes my heart break that much more for other things that I wasn't privy to before.
Yeah. Where can people find you? You are doing a lot of coaching, consulting, and you're on the national stage now, girlfriend. I know you're building out this mastermind program, which is really cool.
Yeah. I love building relationships with people, and I think for some reason when we see people on stage, or we see people, or we hear podcasts, we think, oh, they're too busy, they're too unapproachable. I love connecting with people, so you can find me on Facebook. It's just Bella Vasta. You can find me on Instagram. It's Bella Vasta. Or you can email me, bella@bellavasta.com. I mean, I really, truly, I feel like I went through this for a reason, and I want to be able to be a light or an encouragement or a connector for anyone that might need it.
You are an inspiration, and your baby girl is so adorable with those glasses.
Thank you
I love
so
her.
much.
Thank you so much for being here, Bella. Really appreciate it. And thanks to all of you for listening to Carey Pena Reports. You can connect with me on Instagram and on Facebook at Carey Pena, and be sure to subscribe to all of our shows and interviews, content at inspiredmedia360.com. Until next time, stay inspired.